Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, December 30, 2015. Join us for the next 45 minutes as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I'm Angelo, Castro III.
We are here to give you carefully gathered stories, assuring you of accurate, truthful, and balanced newscasts. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
We are also seen in 1,360 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through www.untvweb.com. This is
Y News.
Here are the headlines. President Aquino leads the 119th year commemoration of Dr. Jose Rizal's martyrdom. Firecracker buyers crowd stalls in Bukawi, Bulacan. The Philippine National Police warns against illegal and imported firecrackers.
Very few passengers have arrived at the Araneta bus terminals. And overseas Filipino workers extend their sympathies to the bereaved family of their fellow OFW who was executed in Saudi Arabia.
First in the news, President Benigno Aquino III led a simple commemoration of the martyrdom of national hero Dr. Jose Rizal today. Joanano tells us why.
The program for the commemoration of 119th anniversary of heroism of Dr. Jose Rizal is made simple. President Benigno Aquino III led the flag-raising ceremony. He was joined by Vice President Jojo Marbinay, Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada, National Historical Commission of the Philippines Chairperson Dr. Maria Serena Jocno, and Department of National Defense Secretary Volter Gasmid. This is followed by wreath-laying ceremony in Rizal Monument. One of the descendants of Rizal, Rebecca Reyes Virata, gave message for the youth.
Nasa ating mga kabataan ang pag-asa ng ating bayan. Sana ang kabataan ay basahin at tularan ang ginawa ni Jose Rizal na nagbibigay ng edukasyon sa mga, basahin nyo yung mga ginawa niya sa dapitan, lahat ng kanyang mga ginawa doon.
According to President Aquino, Dr. Jose Rizal worked hard to pursue our independence and his works remain relevant to this day. Also remember other heroes who share their strength and vision. The President also hopes that all be inspired by Rizal's courage and intelligence to achieve the reforms he fought for. Joanna reporting for Y News.
A short program was held inside the residence of Dr. Jose Rizal in Calambat, Laguna, organized by the provincial government to honor his heroism. Among those who attended the event were Laguna Governor Ramil Hernandez, 2nd District Congressman Joaquin Chipeco, and his son Mayor Justin Chipeco of Calamba, and Rizal's great-grandson Vice Mayor Ros Rizal. Aside from wreath-laying, groups of students performed different dances. There was also a short reenactment of Rizal's execution in Bagong Bayan.
Nawa tayong mga nabubuhay sa modernong panahon ngayon ay pagsikapang tularan ang mga pamamaraan at apikain ng ating pambansang bayani upang maipalaganap ang ninanais nating mga pagbabago tungo sa isang maunlad at mapayapang Pilipinas.
The flyby of newly acquired Philippine Air Force assets amazed the public at the 119th commemoration of the heroism of Dr. Jose Rizal. Grace Casin, tell us why.
This is not an ordinary ceremony of heroism of the national hero Dr. Jose Rizal, because for the first time the public was able to witness the flyby of the newly acquired modern air assets of the Philippine Air Force during the 119th Rizal Day celebration. High-speed pass of two new supersonic FA-50 fighter jet was conducted during the last note of the national anthem. After the wreath-laying ceremony, there was simultaneous flower drop using two UH-1D helicopters. Another highlight was the less than 5-minute flyby of Philippine Air Force assets such as 15 Stelio Frati 260FH, 10 Cessna Trainer T-41 planes, 5 Augusta Westland helicopters, 3 combat utility helicopters, and 3 AW-109 helicopters. The AFP said the flyby aims to showcase to public the modern military equipment.
Ay ito naman para naman na makita nila kung ano ang resulta ng magandang pamamalakad. At ito ang isang naging malaking benepisyo ay pagbigay ng magagandang at makabagong gamit sa Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The flyby was witnessed by the public in Rizal Park and many of them were amazed.
Talagang kagulat-gulat, nabigla nga ako, ang ganda pala ng ating mga panlaban eh.
Nakakatuwa naman din at mayroong tayong nakikitang ibig sabihin na talagang mayroong konting progressive naman ang ating pamahala para sa pangkitaasan.
This is the last attendance of President Benigno Aquino III as guest of honor in Rizal Day celebration. Grace Casan reporting for Y News.
Jose Rizal's relatives expressed dismay over Torre de Manila. The infamous photo bomber is located right at the back of his monument. Isaac Reyes, a great-grandnephew of Rizal, said the construction of the establishment is a clear disrespect to Rizal.
It's a national disgrace that that building is obstructing the view of our national hero. This is what I plan to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to come here and I'm going to sit here with a sign, and anyone else who'd like to join me in a protest against that building is welcome to join.
At present, the Supreme Court has no decision yet over the petition against DMCI in line with the construction of the controversial Torre de Manila. In other news, the Philippine National Police has advised buyers not to purchase illegal and imported firecrackers. Joanna will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police reiterates that the use of illegal and imported firecrackers is prohibited by the law because of the risks that they could cause. The PNP further says that aside from giving protection to the local fireworks industry, imported firecrackers are also illegal because of some unidentified raw materials used in their manufacture and if they follow certain safety precautions.
Again, would like to inform the public that the importation of finished product ng mga firecrackers and pyrotechnics, kahit na hindi ito overweight, ay prohibited ng ating batas. Pag sila ay magpo-purchase, lalo nilang sinusuportahan yung mga illegal importers.
The PNP warned the public that they will apprehend violators and confiscate their illegal products. The agency also advised that instead of using firecrackers, it is better to help the authorities eliminate those who are involved in such illegal trade.
Two ways, kailangan yung ating end users tumulong din. Pag wala nang bibili ng illegal firecrackers, time will come, wala na magmamanufacture kasi yung demand bababa. So we need the participation of the community. Malaking bagay po yun.
The PNP continuously promotes peaceful and safe celebration in welcoming the new year. Meanwhile, the agency also warns against indiscriminate firing. This after a 9-year-old girl died when she was hit by a stray bullet while playing on the evening of December 24. The girl immediately underwent surgery at the East Avenue Medical Center. However, she died the following day, December 25. The PNP assures that they are doing a thorough investigation on the case to apprehend the person liable for the girl's death. Joanna reporting for Y News.
Vendors in the Divisoria Market are compelled to sell firecrackers at a lower price. Grace Casan, would you tell us why?
Despite volume of people crowding the Divisoria Market today, firecracker sale remain low. According to some firecracker vendors, the price of their product is way cheaper compared to last year. The reason for this is the continuous government advisory against the use of firecrackers. Thus, to avoid further loss in profit, they are compelled to sell them at a low price.
Di lugi kami. Sobrang tumal. Mas mura nga po, bargain na kami kahit 5 piso lang na kami. Kasi po, di ba po, nananawagan yung mga na lang. Iwas paputok. Pero pailaw na nga lang po yung mga tinda namin, matumal pa rin.
Sparklers such as the Roman candle is being sold at 3 pieces for 100 pesos. The smaller version of this, the Mabuhay, is being sold at 10 pesos per box. This one called Fireworks is being sold at 250 to 800 pesos. But most buyers prefer this one called Fountain, which is being sold at 3 pieces for 100 pesos or 250 pesos each. Buyers said they choose to buy this instead of buying firecrackers.
Kato lang ginagamit ko na may stick, kaya malayo sa bata. Hindi siya pumuputok. Yun lang ang kagandahan niyan.
Some parents preferred buying toy trumpets at 5 pesos to 25 pesos each to keep their children safe from harm.
Pag-iingat to para sa mga bata. Kasi di ba pag sa paputok, di ba, mahirap. Turutot na lang bibili namin kasi paputok.
Meanwhile, the health department continuously remind the public to refrain from using firecrackers in welcoming the new year. Based on records, the DOH had 351 firecracker-related injuries last 2015 New Year celebration. This is 30% lower than 578 firecracker-related cases recorded in 2014. Public hospital doctors have also reminded first aid measures on firecracker wounds. Immediately clean the wound using soap and running water. Wrap the affected areas with clean cloth and immediately rush the patient to the nearest hospital to avoid infection.
Yung sugat kasi na naputukan, meron itong mga komplikasyon, no? Kagaya ng tetano at kagaya ng infection. Kaya maganda kung makita agad ito ng doktor para mabigyan ng karapat-dapat na lunas para sa mga sugat na ito.
Grace Castro reporting for Y News.
Congestion has begun outside and inside the terminals of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport today. Bianca Dava tells us why live. Bianca?
Diego, although many passengers have already returned to Manila from their home provinces after the December 24 and 25 holidays, thousands more are still pouring in all 4 terminals of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on Wednesday for the New Year rush. So passengers started to flock to NAIA terminals 2 days before the celebration of the New Year. Long queues of passengers outside the terminal, in the lobby, and at the check-in counters of domestic and international departures greeted NAIA Terminal 3 early Wednesday morning. The Manila International Airport Authority expects passenger volume to be at its peak today and tomorrow, at least for the New Year rush and for those going abroad. MIA data shows that passenger departures and arrivals in all 4 terminals have hit nearly 3 million from December 1 to 29, 2015. Meanwhile, afraid of falling victim to the Tanim Bala scam, several passengers put plastic or cling wrap and duct tape around their luggage. Alex, who is bound for Saudi Arabia, has taken matters related to the modus operandi into his own hands.
Kasi yun nasabi nila pero ako paninigurado lang sa akin para siguradong wala na ibang mangyayari sa mga ganyan talimbala. Panigurado lang ako.
Other passengers also opted to be extra vigilant and sure.
Actually, hindi kasi namin alam na wala na. So, naniguro lang kami.
Sabi nila, lagyan daw namin, baka daw kasi mataniman kami ng bala, baka makabalik kami, gano'n.
Kasi parang nanigurado. But according to the Philippine National Police Aviation Security Group, there were no tanimbala or bullet planting incidents recorded during the holiday rush or since December 20. Despite this, airport officials ordered the continuous implementation of stringent security measures in the terminals to ensure the safety of passengers. More CCTV cameras were placed in strategic areas of the airport and help desks were erected to assist passengers. So Diego, lately traffic near airport terminals is light in the morning, but it gets heavy come afternoon until evening, which is why we are advising our passengers to come to the airport early and of course dispose of objects which may raise red flags from the security and of course delay their flights. And that's the latest situation in NAIA terminals. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Bianca Dava, reporting live from NAIA Terminal 1. The number of passengers at the Araneta bus terminal bound for their provinces has declined. Monokson tells us why.
Compared to that in the past days, the number of passengers at the Araneta bus terminal is lower. The Araneta bus terminal estimates that there are only about 5,000 to 6,000 passengers at the terminal. They expect passengers bound for Bicol and Quezon province opt to travel tonight because it now only takes around 12 hours to get there. Compared to trips going to Visayas which take 24 hours, passengers who will leave Metro Manila tonight might get caught in the middle of the festivities in New Year's night and it will be dangerous to travel. Most buses bound for Visayas are fully booked and there is only a limited number of tickets left. And just like the previous problems, the arrival of many bus trips are still delayed. But the terminal management assures that there is sufficient number of buses. On the other hand, the LTFRB didn't monitor any bus company that raised ticket prices. During the initial inspection last week, 2 buses were identified as colorum buses and will be meted a penalty of 1 million pesos. Meanwhile, among the more than 200 drivers that have undergone drug tests, only 3 yielded positive of illegal drugs. The LTFRB says the inspection as well as the drug test will last only until tomorrow afternoon. The Araneta bus terminal is now preparing for the arrival of passengers coming from the provinces next week. Mon Hokson reporting for Y News.
The Philippine National Police in Davao City is now on heightened alert. Joey Domingo will tell us why.
Davao City heightens its red alert status. This is not only due to terrorist and rebel threats, but also due to the propensity of criminalities this holiday season.
Red alert status as declared by our city director, it's because of the Yuletide season, no? Sa holiday season nato. And on the possible threat on criminalities and terrorism.
Red alert status as per directive by the city director due to the Yuletide season and also due to the terrorist threats. Earlier reports say that the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters launched attacks in Sultan Kudarat, Maguindanao and North Cotabato late last week, which raises concerns in nearby towns like Davao City. However, the government of Davao claims that the peace and order situation in the city is under control.
With that, mag-provide tag mga maximum deployment nato sa mga places of convergence, like for instance katong mga activity areas sa itong Pasko Fiesta, like Torotot Festival.
The police force implores the public though to be vigilant not only against rebel attacks but also against terrorism.
Dapat maging alerto ta, maging vigilante ta, kay dili tanan ang public safety is concerned sa PM.
Government of Davao hopes for a crime-free city, especially in the festivities as the year ends. Joey Domingo reporting for Y News.
Former Senator Kit Tatad's lawyer stressed that the issuance of a temporary restraining order by the Supreme Court to bar COMELEC from canceling Senator Grace Poe's certificate of candidacy for president is baseless. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Former Senator Kit Tatad will ask the Supreme Court en banc not to confirm the temporary restraining order issued by Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno barring the Commission on Elections from canceling Senator Grace Poe's certificate of candidacy for president. Tatad's camp will file their comment to Poe's petition for certiorari before the SC on Monday, coupled with a motion to dissolve the TRO. The former senator's lawyer, Manuelito Luna, said Poe's allegation that the poll body committed grave abuse of discretion when it ruled to cancel her COC is baseless, so there is not enough basis for issuing a TRO. Luna stressed that COMELEC's decision was based on the right application of constitutional provisions and principles, laws and jurisprudence, and therefore cannot be accused of grave abuse of discretion. The en banc of the High Court will resume with its sessions on January 10. Luna also stated that the TRO does not render their motion to execute judgment before COMELEC as moot because the restraining order can be dissolved anytime. The said motion is urging COMELEC to cancel the senator's COC and weed out her name from the list of candidates after the en banc of the commission upheld the decision of both divisions of the poll body. Meanwhile, Rizalito David is against the motion of Senator Poe that is urging the 3 SC justices who are also members of the Senate Electoral Tribunal or SET to inhibit from handling Poe's petition against COMELEC. David was the petitioner in the quo warranto case against Poe in the SET. The case is now also before the High Court. David emphasized that the SET case is different from the COMELEC case. That is why it is improper to ask the 3 justices to inhibit.
May isang additional issue doon na yung residency. Yes. Hindi lang yun yung patungkol sa citizenship. So I don't think that would be proper.
Victor Cosare reporting for Y News.
Y News will be right back.
Anong pinakamalaking alok sa'yo? Kung naliitan ka, ayaw mo tanggapin.
Tama yun.
Parang liit naman yan.
Maliit eh. 2M yata yun. Pakulong na lang kita kung yan lang bibigay mo sa akin. Taasan mo pa, baka mag-isip pa ako.
Last quarter ng 2014, nang maglabas ng advisory ang Pag-asa tungkol sa El Niño phenomenon na mararanasan ng ating bansa hanggang sa 2016. At sa ngayon, nakararanas tayo ng matinding init ng temperatura, malaking bawas sa dami ng ulan at malalakas na bagyo na ayon sa Pag-asa, epekto nga ito ng El Niño phenomenon.
Tandaan natin yung pinakamalakas na El Niño na na-experience natin 97-98. Ito na yung cycle niya, yung mga malalakas na El Niño.
Muli nating tunghayan kung paano tayo naapektuhan ng panahon sa Repaso 2015.
Senator Franklin Drilon assures that the coming elections will not affect the passage of pending bills in Congress. Nunez will tell us why.
Senate President Franklin Drilon reports that it was because of the strong coordination between the executive and the legislative branches of the government that certain pertinent bills had been passed. Some of these accomplished bills are the Philippine Competition Act, amendments in the Cabotage Law, Graphic Health Warning Act, and the amendments in the Sandigan Bayan Law. Drilon also assures that the passage of other pending bills will not be affected by the upcoming elections. Drilon explained that the Congress's achievement is not solely based on the number of bills enacted, but the contribution it has brought to the economy, particularly in improving the lives of the citizens, especially the poor. So far, there are about 32 proposed bills still for signing of President Aquino before they'll be enacted. Meanwhile, Finance Committee Chairperson Loren Legarda was also proud because for the first time, there were provisions for every spending for geohazard and climate change projects that have been approved.
For the first time, meron tayong mga probisyon na nagsasaad na ang mga ginagawa sa paggastos ng pera ay ayon sa pagbabago ng klima. Anong ibig ko sabihin? Sa lahat na gagawing mga daan, sa lahat na gagawing mga eskwelahan, sa lahat ng pagbibigay ng abono at ng mga seedling, sa lahat ng paggagawa ng mga small water impounding dam, dapat pinasalang alang-alang that you hinge it on geohazard, on climate change indicators, etc.
Meanwhile, Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Sonny Coloma said the government will continue to deliver the best services through passing pertinent bills.
Marami din yung naipasang panukalang batas at lahat ng mga ito ay inihahain naman sa tanggapan ng Pangulo para makonsidera, no? Bago magkaroon ng desisyon hinggil sa pag-aproba dito, no? Katulad nga ng akin nabanggit, patuloy yung pagsisikap na pahusayin ang serbisyo publiko, no?
When the session resumes in January next year, 32 more bills are expected to be approved on the third and final reading. Ann Nunez reporting for Y News.
Authorities are on alert to assist and closely monitor the traffic situation and security in Bukawe, Bulacan. Nunez tells us why.
One day before the year-end festivities, firecracker buyers flocked the stores in Bukawe, Bulacan, which had caused the traffic in the area. A large number of vehicles coming from the MacArthur Highway and the North Luzon Expressway carrying firecracker buyers arrived at the firecracker stores in Bukawe. Finding a parking spot also became difficult. For this reason, the pyrotechnic vendors say they experienced an influx of buyers coming from various places. They also expect that many more will come until tomorrow. There is also a possible increase of prices tomorrow. That is why more buyers came today. Although the prices increased, buyers cannot do anything. The PNP Bukawi is still strictly monitoring the sale of firecrackers and pyrotechnics. Earlier today, a store was shut down. It was found that the fountain sparkler they sell for more than 100,000 pesos do not have PS Mark label. Aside from the police force monitoring the security in the area, 3 fire trucks from the Bureau of Fire Protection are also on standby. And Nunes reporting for Y News.
The northeast monsoon or amihan is affecting northern Luzon. Pag-asa said regions of Cagayan, Cordillera, and Ilocos will experience light rains. Expect isolated light rains over Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon and isolated thunderstorms over Visayas and Mindanao. The seaboards of northern Luzon are risky for small fishing vessels and sea crafts. No tropical cyclone is expected to affect the country for the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the local government of Cebu has launched the Our Cebu program. Joanna will tell us why.
The Cebu provincial government is eyeing to be the model province by being the center of employment, business, and investment. With this in mind, it launched the Our Cebu program, which aims to attain an inclusive, participatory, and sustainable development through good governance.
Where Cebu was envisioned to become a model province, an ideal place in which to live, play, work, invest, and do business. A better place to be, not just for us, but for the future Cebuanos.
Local government units are in active participation and support to the program. They awarded the cooperation of LGUs and schools for their outstanding effort to promote the campaign. The top 10 outstanding LGUs received cash gifts and trophies.
Diya sa tabang sa katawhan nga troan ng guidelines nga giset sa Our Cebu. So napalambok ang atong labi na kanang among sistema or purok system namo diya sa among lungsod.
5 schools were also given TV sets and certificates as donations. Governor Hilario Davido III hopes that the LGUs will continue their support for the progress of the province for the benefit of the next generation. Together with Cebu News Team, Joanna reporting for Y News.
Overseas Filipino workers in Saudi Arabia believe that Joselito Zapanta's life could still have been spared. Marge Navarro will tell us why.
Filipino worker Joselito Zapanta was sentenced to death for murdering his Sudanese landlord over a rental fight. According to a Facebook post, members of Migrante Middle East are extending their sympathy to what happened to Zapanta. They are saddened that the blood money was not obtained in full to pay the victims' relatives. Former overseas worker Don Lanuza also extends his condolences as he was also sentenced to death but was granted pardon in 2013. Lanuza praised that other OFWs currently at the death row in Saudi Arabia would also be granted with the government's pardon. Malacanang has also extended sympathy to the Zapanta family. In a text message, Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Sunny Coloma said they are saddened of what happened. For this reason, the Malacanang has reminded all OFWs to abide by the laws of their respective host countries to avoid untoward incidents. Coloma assures that the government is always ready to protect the welfare of Filipinos overseas. At present, the Department of Foreign Affairs said that there are still 79 Filipinos in death row around the world, from which 27 is currently detained in Saudi Arabia, waiting for their sentence. Together with the UNTV News team in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, this is Marge Navarro reporting for Y News.
While still recovering from the recent storm, North England is preparing for a new cyclone threat. Marge Navarro is back to tell us why.
Accounting analysts in northern England estimate the damage caused by severe flooding that amounts to about £1.5 billion or more than 100 billion pesos. Certain cities in Great Britain are still suffering from heavy flood, the one considered as the worst since 2007. Among the places still submerged in flood water are the cities of York, Leeds, and the city of Lancaster and Cumbria. At present, about 6,700 residential homes and business establishments have been affected by flood in the entire northern England. Meanwhile, the West Yorkshire Police has recorded high incidents of looting in flooded establishments, particularly stores of rescue equipment and motorboats. This has prompted the police to intensify patrolling on affected areas to minimize crimes. Several residents were dismayed of the lack of information dissemination from the government as regard the preparation ahead of the flooding.
No one came down the street to say this is a real emergency. There was no sirens, there was no tannoy or anything.
We have some questions to ask, and I think we need some answers. And where that goes, I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just see what tomorrow brings.
According to the government, they have been doing their best to help the affected residents.
This is a huge priority for everybody. Army's here, fire and rescue here. I honestly don't believe more support could be provided. We're putting everything into this area. This isn't a question of people just coming up on visits. This is people working right the way through Christmas, and that's not just me. It's all the emergency services, a lot of volunteers. This is a huge effort.
For now, emergency services had placed sandbags along damaged flood defenses in Croston to keep flood water from reaching the main roads. Meanwhile, another storm is seen coming and is expected to affect northern England tonight. The cyclone is named Frank. 9 areas in England and Wales are now placed under severe flood warnings or high risk of danger, according to the Meteorological Office. This is particularly in the town of York, which is still in severe flooding since Saturday. Tropical cyclone Frank is expected to hit south and central Scotland, as well as the town of Cumbria, which is still recovering from the previous cyclone Desmond. Marge Navarro reporting for Y News.
U.S. presidential hopeful Donald Trump promises to spend $2 million a week, while Hillary Clinton says she's ready to classify the Islamic State's persecution of Yazidis as genocide. Meanwhile, Belgium increases the security level of Brussels police facilities after the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with a possible New Year's Eve attack plot. Ann Nunez tells us why.
In Belgium on Tuesday, December 29, increased the level of security threat against Brussels police facilities and personnel from 2 to 3 after police arrested 2 people on Sunday and Monday in connection with an attack plot targeting the country's capital. Prosecutors announced earlier on Tuesday that police found military clothing and Islamic State propaganda materials, but no weapons or explosives. They added their investigation revealed threats of an attack on symbolic places in Brussels during the celebration for New Year's Eve. A total of 6 people had been taken in for questioning during house searches in Brussels, a neighboring province, and Liège, but 4 of them had since been released. In America, residents of the Midwest United States have to suffer from the secondary disaster after the winter storm's continuous presence in the regions. Due to the El Niño, the winter storm had caused great losses to the region. At least 69 tornadoes, over 400 floods, most in Missouri and Illinois, and deaths to more than 40 people. According to the weather forecast, the city St. Illinois will greet the flood along the Mississippi River on Thursday midnight. The water level of the river will rise significantly in the region. The city government has called on citizens to make sandbags in preparation for the flood. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, December 29, at campaign stops in Iowa respectively, U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump promised to up spending on the race to $2 million a week. Aboard his private plane, Trump renewed criticism of Hillary Clinton, pledging to turn the tables on her and her husband, former President Bill Clinton. He acknowledged his own indiscretions were fair game in the campaign. Trump said he plans to run advertisements in early voting states ahead of the first nominating contests in 2016. Ann Nunez reporting for Y News.
Endangered giraffe calves receive special treatment, including bottle feeding at a San Diego zoo. Meanwhile, a giant squid makes a cameo in Japan's Toyama Bay, northwest of Tokyo. Precious Ong will tell us why.
A giant Architeuthis duck squid was spotted by onlookers swimming into Toyama Bay, northwest of Tokyo on Thursday. Researchers estimate the squid is around 12 feet long and is relatively young. Locals say it's the first sighting of a giant squid of the season. Squid like these have been spotted at some 40 feet in length, though scientists say they can make it to 60 feet. The giant squid named Heck was later ushered back into the open water. Meanwhile, 2 giraffe calves at the San Diego Zoo are receiving specialized care and treatment to help them cope after the loss of their mothers.
Typically, when we have babies born at the park, we would really like for the mom to be able to raise them. But in some instances, we have animals with health concerns, or maybe the parent has health concerns.
Congo. A male giraffe born in July was bottle-fed after the death of his mother in August. The young giraffe was paired with another 2-year-old giraffe to help him acclimate to the herd, before being released back into the giraffe herd in the East Africa habitat of the San Diego Zoo. Yamikani was 3 months old when her mother died. Yamikani never drank formula from bottles, but zookeepers have been able to keep her healthy by constantly feeding her small portions of solid food. The newest member of the herd, a male named Kafil, was born on November 17th. All of the giraffe cubs are housed at the East Africa habitat at the San Diego Zoo. Precious Ong reporting for Y News.
Those are the reasons behind the news, December 30, 2015. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Y News.